We have a very special guest on this podcast episode. We did not have Tony Leung on.
Wilson, what directors do you want to work with?
Oh, I can't say. I just have to leave it up to fate. I don't plan. Do you know the amount of times I've watched that video over and over again? Just to relive that moment where Tony Leung met my eyes and talked at me for 3 minutes.
Okay, I have a question about that. When you handed him or received back the microphone, did your hands touch?
We grazed. The hands grazed.
Some Wilson Tony grazage.
Yeah, I had 2 wireless mics and I put them both back into the thing. So I don't know which wireless mic Tony held. So I'm just going to treasure both of them equally as if Tony Leung held both of them.
You should tell people when you pass them the mic. You know who else has touched that?
Me.
I'm Wilson Lai.
I'm Benjamin Yap.
I'm Eli Sands.
You're listening to Deep Cut.
On Deep Cut, we usually compare a director's most popular film with a personal favorite chosen by one of us.
We also discuss that director's life and career to bring in context that helps us view their movies as they may want us to.
If you're enjoying the show, please rate and subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts to help others discover the show. Better still, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts or comment on episodes directly on Spotify. And if you want to leave us a message, you can send an email to hello@deepcutpod.com. And you can also find us at deepcutpod.com to find links to our socials, Discord, and Patreon.
Welcome, everyone, to our episode celebrating the Golden Jubilee of the 50th Hong Kong International Film Festival. Ooh. This year is, I think, my 3rd HKIFF dispatch. And yeah, I've been hard at work for the podcast and also for personal reasons.
You've been hard for personal reasons? Wait, what?
Hard at work, Benjamin.
Sorry.
You've been too early in this podcast episode to be playing like this. But yeah, the festival is just about wrapping up. There's a couple extra days tomorrow and Tuesday of like extra screenings of films that sold out earlier. But yeah, I covered the last 15 days of the festival watching a lot of movies.
What's your number? How many?
Let's see. I think I hit 24.
Bruh.
24 or 22 plus two shorts.
And then you got 2 more tomorrow, you were saying?
I got 2 more. So I'll end up with 24 features.
That's like as many movies as I see in 6 months.
Packed into 1 week.
You can stop watching movies for a while. And I think you might.
I definitely will. And basically for all the movies that I saw, except for the 2 short films, I've been hard at work on the damn Instagram making these reels.
They're freaking great, man.
They're
like
really
the
great.
number of different landscapes. I was like, wow, bro knows Hong Kong.
Yeah, I just wanted to show people how well versed I am in this city.
Yeah, man. I was like, damn, this is a good tourism ad.
They should be paying me, Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Hong Kong Tourism Board. You got to pay me.
You know how in Taipei you can go on like an Edward Yang tour of the city and like see where they filmed Yi and all that stuff? They're going to start running Hong Kong Wilson Lai tours, go to all the places that he recorded his vlogs.
You should do that. You should give, aside from your like home address, where people can go to like see the sites, you know?
Go to the tree where he talked about Silent Friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to the shower where he...
There's no shower.
You recorded one in a shower.
No, that was a stairwell that looked
I thought it was
like
a bathroom too. It really looked like a bathroom. That was my first instinct. I was like, did he put this camera on the toilet?
I was just trying to look for inventive inventive locations to shoot my next vlog. Could be in the shower. I went on a damn trail run this morning and I filmed my vlog on my trail run.
Honestly, mad respect. This is like what I wanted to do for like the Japan stuff, but I was way too self-conscious to be like recording in like the most random places. I felt way too self-conscious to try.
I do feel you. I think I definitely had to get over that. But I think the wireless microphone that I purchased for this festival was helpful in that way. I think it was appropriate. It allowed me to step back and then like, I don't know, whisper into the microphone.
Yeah, because you're not next to the camera, so it doesn't feel like you're recording something.
Yes. I had to give myself distance.
That's actually
wide
really
shot,
makes
man.
sense.
Yeah.
All right, I'll consider it next time.
You know, I'm considering it for New York Film Festival.
Oh, yes. You heard it here first. Eli has promised to do it.
Promise no.
But also, okay, the consideration that I've been having and people have been asking me is like, what happens after the festival? Will you still be making these videos? And I was like, maybe. I bought a tripod. I bought these microphones. And if people are liking them and it brings people to like episodes like this, well, welcome if you're a new listener, then yeah, maybe it's time to become a visual/audio platform for something.
Yeah. I mean, I also have the same things that you have.
Yeah, you do, Ben.
And I don't.
You can have them.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But overall, incredible festival this year. The programming, I think, was really fantastic this year. I think they really pulled out all the stops because it's his 50th year. So like tons of classics, did paid tribute to a few Chinese directors this year. So they played old movies from them and invited them here as well. New releases from Asia, from internationally. It was a fun time. And I think this is my third year doing press for them. And I jumped ahead of the shark, or I don't know what the term is. I like got ahead of the curve asking for interviews. So I was gifted the gift of 7 sit-down director interviews this week.
So much.
Yeah. We're going to get into it in this episode, but like stay tuned to your feeds because you're going to be getting 7 episodes of me chatting with different directors over the next few weeks. That's the hope.
Are there any other highlights you want to talk about?
Meeting Tony Leung.
Yeah, how about we talk about that? Let's give the play-by-play.
Yeah. So if you are not aware, I got to interview Tony Leung at the red carpet premiere for Silent Friend. The public didn't know that he was actually coming to this screening. So everyone outside of press people was thinking that it was just director Ildiko Enyedi. But we press sort of knew that he was coming because we got a press release and they're like, okay, Tony Leung's going to show up and he's going to go to this red carpet event. So I canceled the screening that I was supposed to go to. And I RSVP'd for this press event on the red carpet. And honestly, it was like 45, 50 minutes of like standing there and waiting. And even after he got there, they did a photo call. Like he was standing there with the director who I was actually interviewed earlier that day. And then he did like basically 30 minutes of interviews with print media and with TV media and graciously had some time to give to us lowly freelancers / podcasters. And last question, I got it in. I got 2 questions in. And I don't know, I filmed it and I was like freaking out because I'm like, holy shit, I'm like holding, this is on my phone right now and I just experienced this. And then I put it out on the Instagram and then it blew up like crazy.
Mega viral.
You know, we went from like 800 Instagram followers to like, I think we're at like 1,300 now or 1,200.
It's like double. I don't know, I think 10 times the people have seen this reel than listen to our podcast. Or like 100 times.
It's close to 1 million. So yes, it is actually.
Oh my God.
It's kind of unreal.
Yeah. So initially like freaking out, shitting myself because I met Tony Leung, and then now being like, holy shit, this is blowing up everywhere. It's like people are seeing it all over the world, which is cool. And everyone's just like, oh, I didn't realize you could speak English that well. People learn English in school in Hong Kong. They're like pretty fluent in English. But I also think this is like a good precursor to Tony's descent on to Lincoln Center in a few weeks.
Very true.
For all those Q&As. So, yeah.
What are your favorite comments that have appeared on the video?
Obviously, the ones praising me.
Yeah.
Oh, they were like, oh, and you made him feel so comfortable. I'm like, yes, I stood there and I nodded and I smiled and I made him feel comfortable to answer those questions.
Hey, that's a vibe you've been cultivating for 20 over years.
Yes. Other ones, I don't know. There's some weird shit about veganism that's happening in the comments because I think they're trying to be like, oh, yeah, vegans, plants have feelings too, so you shouldn't eat them either. I don't know.
There's a song for this.
What's the song?
No, there's like a parody group. I forget the name of them, but they have this song called Carrot Juice Constitutes Murder. It's
Okay.
it's a joke.
By Le Seraphim?
No. But they might. It is stupid enough.
But yeah, people are chatting. People are discussing directors that they want Tony to work with. I think that's the most heated discussion in the comments.
It's a good question to start with, to be honest.
Totally.
Yeah, and it's good that he didn't answer the question because the people are like,
yeah.
Tony knows how to play the algorithm.
He does. He does.
He doesn't even know it exists and he's playing it like a fiddle.
Yeah. He looked at me and he's like, dude, I'm going to give you 1 million views.
In the mood for likes.
Oh, no.
But yeah, obvious highlight of the festival. I guess another highlight was my friend Kira Newmark, friend of the podcast, was visiting Hong Kong at this time and got to hang out. We got to see, I think, a Ying together, one of the films I'll talk about in a bit. And we just got a lot of meals together. So it was really, really nice. I just felt so fulfilled by this festival. I feel so lucky. And it just like made me want to put in more work and more effort into like prepping for the interviews or just like making the content for the videos. Like, I feel like they've given me so much this time and I just wanted to like feel like I wanted to represent them as best as possible. And I just feel really lucky because we're not a big publication. And I know that they've been giving these opportunities to like print media and like TV, but I think they also like took a chance and they saw something in the work that we were doing in the previous interviews that we did. And yeah, hopefully this continues on to next year, but nothing but praise for the HKIFF team, especially Rainey and Polly, who are handling the interviews for me, and also the folks at Golden Scene, which I've sort of become acquainted with because I had to sort of figure out logistics of a lot of the films that they are releasing in Hong Kong. So it made me feel a little closer to the distribution, marketing world of film in Hong Kong. So that was really awesome.
It sounds like you are part of that world now, which is kind of lit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Hopefully more will come from this. But yeah, a good first step.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Should we jump into how you structuring this for us?
So I think I'm going to start out by talking about all the films that I've interviewed directors for. So then it can give you all a preview if you want to wait a week and check out whichever director interview that is out. Because some of these films are lesser known deep cuts and some of these films are, I guess, bigger names. And then I will divide the rest of them by restored classics or Chinese classics sections and then new releases globally. I will say with the films that I didn't really love, I'm not going to speak much on it. Unless you guys want me to. And then I'll speak a little bit more about the films that I really liked. You guys can see the list, right? So
We got a lot to get through.
we do have a lot to get through, so let's get going. Let's get moving. I think the first film I want to talk about is the film that Tony Leung is starring in, and that's the reason why I asked the question about plants that he answered. It is Ildiko Enyedi's Silent Friend. So Ben also watched this. You can hear him talk about it in the Year in Review episode, right? And the SGIF episode. I also really loved Silent Friend. I think I loved it even more than you, Ben. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Sure.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. I thought like because you were talking about the three stories and it keeps on moving back between the three stories. But I think the way that Enyedi moves through them and not really cutting on, because we've been recording episodes on Christopher Nolan and we talk about how he sort of intercuts based on pacing and based on sort of when things are happening in plot. I feel like Enyedi doesn't really do that. Like there's not really simultaneous things that are happening in the different stories that allows for her to cut very cleanly. But she was telling me in the interview that she was like cutting a lot based on feeling and based on just vibes and planning that as well, because it was such a long process to get everything ready for the three different sections that they were shooting. And yeah, just talking to her about plants was also really cool. This has been an obsession for her for a few years now, or quite a few decades. And the main idea of this film that Tony reiterates in the interview, that plants are able to communicate with each other, or they have reactions to things. They're not like mindless beings. They have minds and they communicate with each other. They have consciousness. Exactly.
Nervousness.
Yeah. It's a very interesting concept, and I like how it was explored. You could look out for that interview. That's a good interview. She's very soft-spoken, but I think she means what she says when she's speaking.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see this one.
It's opening in New York in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
With Tony.
With Tony.
True.
Let's move on. Indonesian director Edwin made a horror film called Sleep No More. I don't know if you guys have heard of this film. It's called Vengeance is Mine, All Others Pay Cash.
Oh, yeah.
That was a revenge thriller. And in this film, he's tackling the horror or horror comedy genre with this film. And when we were talking about it, he says that there's a big history in Indonesia of these horror comedies that are meant to titillate and to scare, but also not scare you too much. And it's supposed to be just like a fun time. So this film sort of follows in that history of those films. But I think what I found to be really interesting about the film, and also from our conversation, was that a lot of the film is based on ideas of like collectivism and like unionizing. So the premise of the horror film is that it's set in a factory where they incentivize you with working overtime, but there's this monster that is basically just a lot of hair just tied together. And this hair takes advantage of you when you are sleep deprived and sort of gets into your body and controls you and to like hurt yourself and things like that. It is a very interesting concept. And I was telling him, like, it's so cool that your film makes it scary to stay awake versus a lot of other horror films, which makes it scary to like fall asleep. And he said, yeah, it's about like sticking it to the man, basically, and standing up and joining together for a greater good. Which I think is a great concept behind a horror film, but it's also a horror film that you really don't have to think too much. You can really, it's sort of like a brain off popcorn flick, which also I appreciated that it was in this selection of films at HKIFF, because you don't really get a lot of pure genre pictures there. Yeah, that's Sleep No More. I recommend it.
Have you seen Vengeance?
No, I haven't.
I've also not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot which festival it won the top prize at.
It was some European festival.
Or Berlin? Maybe Berlin. Something like that, one of those.
Yeah, before I talked to him, I caught his debut feature called Blind Pig Who Wants to Fly. And that's about the Chinese Indonesian community that lives in Indonesia and the sort of the racism that they face, but done in a very kooky, unique kind of approach to it. Yeah, I really suggest checking out his stuff. A little rough around the edges, but I think intentionally rough around the edges. He doesn't want to make pristine movies. And I like the genre bent that he has got himself into these days. Yeah, Sleep No More.
Vengeance Is Mine, All Others Pay Cash won the Golden Leopard at Locarno in 21.
Locarno, yeah. That really shot him up like the renown, I guess. Yeah, which of course it does, right? But he's been working for a very long time in Indonesia. Like the AFA has a bunch of his films, I think, either in the collection, maybe. I'm not very sure, but I know I've seen his name around when I was poking around the archives.
Yeah, really humble guy. And if you have watched the debut feature, Blind Pig Who Dreams of Flying, we end the interview with a sing-along based on the film. And it's great. It's so great. So if anything, you just skip to the end of that interview and you can listen to us singing. Moving from one Southeast Asian country of Indonesia to another, Ben's home country, Singapore.
I'm still there.
He's still there. Well, this film still hasn't played in Singapore. This is Geck's debut feature, A Girl, which took her 10 years to make. It is fantastic. It is a fantastic coming-of-age story it's based on her own childhood and her growing up with her little sister as their parents are separated. There's so many things that I really loved about this movie. I think, first of all, the child performance, the central child performance, the girl that plays the younger version of Geck is fantastic. She just flies off the screen. She just has this attitude that you can't like conjure up. It's just there. And she just has that quality. And I think when I was talking to her, she was saying that she really wanted to cast someone that felt like her rather than find that in the performance, because with kids, it's hard to sort of like build that. So she really lucked out with the girl who plays the younger version of her and her younger sister. I also love how this film doesn't take the easy, kind way out. It ends on a happy note, but I think the situation itself is not happy and she doesn't sugarcoat it. And I think it was a great conversation because I didn't realize how autobiographical it was. It seems like she was also trying to work through a lot of her childhood trauma by making this film. And the fact that she had to sit on the script for like 8 years allowed her to sort of work deeper through it. And like she got into counseling as a result of this sort of more extensive, deeper dive into her own childhood. And I really respect it. I really respect this movie. It's very well done. Like the cinematography is really good. It feels like it's from a seasoned filmmaker, even though it's a first feature. And I'm excited for you guys to see it, especially you, Ben. I did tell her like, oh, my co-host hates it when the language is not like...
Why did you say that?
Like Singapore. In the interview, you'll hear it in the interview.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh, it's not like accurate, like the language, the switching between the languages. But I think this one, it is. They mostly speak a lot of Mandarin, but then there are moments where you speak in English in a more formal setting. But I also love she calls her parents out. Like she calls them an idiot at one point. It was great. It was so good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to hear that the film was good. Because also I didn't know about this until I think it dropped at Berlin. Like I didn't know she was making this feature until it came out.
No, not Berlin, Rotterdam, which is even weirder.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, I think, one of her shorts, maybe like 10 years ago. Geck's films have always mostly been about children. Because she's, even in that Q&A, I remember her at like 10 years ago, she talked about how she's always been interested in children's perspectives. So to hear that she's built a project after 10 years that follows that thread and like also is successful it's good to hear. So I'm pretty excited to watch it.
Yeah. She says it's coming out later in the year in Singapore. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. A Girl. I've sort of like put them together with previous films based on sort of theme. So this film called Memory, directed by Vladlena Sandu, is also a director trying to go through her past through the film that she made. But I guess Sandu's past is arguably more traumatic. I mean, not arguably, I think definitely more traumatic.
Don't pit women against each other.
Sorry, yeah.
Wilson.
There's no quantifiable, but Vladlena Sandu was born in Crimea in Ukraine, and because of her own parents' separation, she was forced to move to Chechnya, to Grozny, to live with her grandparents. And it is basically, it's about her growing up in the middle of a war and also the subsequent fall of the USSR and her personal history dealing with that. It is not an easy film, but I think Sandu roots this film in her childlike, in a child's perspective and a child's imagination as well. A lot of the images in this film are very abstract and very experimental, I will say. I was not really expecting the approach. You don't see the adults in her life. You just see younger versions of her that she cast, and then sort of a lot of like pictures of her grandfather blown up on a cloth to represent him. And most of the narrative heavy lifting is done by her own voiceover narration. So I think that sort of creates a little bit of distance between you and the horrific things that are going on. I wouldn't say it's like a tough watch, but it's by no means an easy watch as well. But I found the craft and the eye behind the filmmaking to be really fantastic. And also Sandu working through those feelings and ending on a note that is quite strongly saying like we should not be subjecting children to war and to violence because they will carry on this vicious cycle. It's a very powerful movie. I was quite blown away when I watched it, and beautifully shot as well. This is memory.
It's a documentary, but with like reenactments and stuff like that. Something kind of hybrid.
She would say that the film itself is a document of her own memory. That's how she refers to it. It's a documentary of her own memory. But all the visuals have been shot for this. I guess definitely a trigger warning. Like there are some accounts of like people dying in her life that she recounts in this voiceover. Whew. Good interview though. She met me the day after and she was like, "Oh, I'll keep your interview in my heart. That was really good."
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh my God." Yes.
That's so sweet.
Yes. Like, yeah. I just feel so validating when you're like, okay, I like asked the right questions or I like presented myself well.
I mean, especially bringing such a personal film to an international film festival where, you know, people could have any sort of reaction and just view it as like an anonymous, unauthored work of art to do whatever they want with, including tear to shreds. An interview, it sounds like the kind of interview that you gave Sandu is reassurance that people get it and like engage with it on a deep level.
It makes me think about how like, you know, films are this like mass medium because they show to like 100+ people in a theater, but then it's still a person's piece of work. And especially for a film like this one, like very, very personal piece that is a little alienating to be like, oh, let me let everyone see it. Like it's not that different from like just putting it on YouTube. And like just because you can get comments, you can get letterbox reviews, but like they're not in a way real people. But like in your position as an interviewer, then it's like you can give her something that's much closer to your experience of her work. And like, I guess I would say it seems like you giving her the validation of her work, right? And I think it's something we can't forget about with films that they're not so, what's the word?
They're not products.
Yeah. I mean, they can be, but they're not always, right? Mm-hmm. And like, it's tough. Like, I think at the end of the day, like, many films are like somebody's heart on display, right? And like, even if I think you don't like the movie, like you can still really connect with somebody who has made something, you know, through conversation. And that's something I've been thinking about a lot recently.
These director interviews have been so eye-opening for me. Even if most of the films I really enjoyed already, just having them talk about it and in hearing about how close to them the projects are, so close to these filmmakers and what the projects mean to them was actually was really great. Such a once in a lifetime experience, honestly, like being able to watch these movies and talk to the people that made them.
Yeah, I don't know, like it changes, I feel, your viewing experience when you know the people involved, whether it's because you work in the industry or because you know the people involved or because you're an interviewer. that like it contextualizes the work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, honestly, when you were talking a moment ago, Ben, I was thinking of the experience of like being an undergraduate and watching friends' thesis films on the big screen. You're right that knowing someone in depth does lend a kind of context to their work, which is also partially the project of our whole podcast, right? Like getting to sort of see the movie as more than just the film itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we discussed their director's life and career to bring in context.
Context
that helps us view their movies as they may want us to.
Oh, I got it wrong.
I'm reading off the script right now.
I never read that line.
Yeah. So I guess the director interviews do fit into the core value of the podcast because it's our direct source, basically.
Absolutely.
That's true. And they color and change the way that you approach the work in like ways it's hard to like describe sometimes. Or like maybe even give a film that you don't care so much about a different light. Even if you still never really liked the film, like I think it still helps to be like, oh, that's why they did this.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just a thing that appeared, you know, it didn't just appear. Like somebody had to make this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, somebody had to make these decisions. I guess filmmaking for now is still very much human work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I would have asked if I got to interview Zhangke, but unfortunately
God.
did not happen this year.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing with DeepSeek right now?
Oh no. Is he really?
Do you not see in the Discord someone posted the AI short film that he made? But I think he did a follow-up interview where someone was like, oh, will you make a feature with AI? And he said no. Like very curtly, no.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Still.
Yeah. Let's not dwell on this. Let's move on. Let's move on to another deep cut favorite. I think we've talked about Mary Stephen on the podcast before during our Romer episodes, maybe.
But she didn't edit any of the ones that we watched or talked about, rather.
Yeah. So Mary Stephen is a film editor, most notably known for editing Eric Romer. I've been saying Romer, but I think it's Romer.
Okay. Because is that how she's saying it?
She said Romer, and I was like, oh shit, it's not Romer, it's a Romer. Yeah, but she has been editing his films since the 80s, and I guess out of those films, she's most popular for editing the Tale of Four Seasons films from Romer. But this year at the festival, they were highlighting her own directorial work. So they screened some of the short films. So those are the 2 short films that I saw from her. And also a feature film that she just released called Palimpsest, The Story of a Name, where she tries to trace back to Hong Kong through her dad's old journals and his old Super 8 camera footage, why she has ended up with a last name Stephen, even though she looks very Chinese. So it goes through a story of discovery for her. And I think one might write it off, especially when watching the start of the film, that it is just like a regular sort of documentary of trying to trace my roots. But I think Mary Stephen is too smart for that. She sort of dupes the audience into that comfort of watching something, but then there's a twist. And when this twist happened, I like sat forward in my chair and I was like, oh, she's cooking with gas. She's cooking with gas. And I asked her about it. Was this what you wanted to do since the very start? And she said, yes. I never wanted to tell a straightforward story because I was never given a straightforward story. And it's such a lovely documentary and also, I guess, reflective of her own identity as a Chinese woman working in majority white spaces and places. We also, the back half of that interview, I do get a few questions in about working with Romer because I couldn't not chat about it because of our podcast. And I think that also, I don't know, I just was grinning ear to ear just listening to her talk about how collaborative he was with people, like it just everything, just reiterating everything that you were saying when you talked about his director bio in that Green Ray episode, Ben. But just hearing it from someone that actually got to receive the help and the care and the, I don't know, collaboration from Romer is incredible. I would not I'm just like, I can't believe I'm just sitting in front of you right now and you're telling me about how he was like helping you out with your short film. It's awesome.
I felt that way about speaking with Christiane Badgley about her work with Marlon Riggs all the way back on episode 3 of the entire show. There's such a unique perspective that editors have about working with their directors because time and timing are such cinema-specific tools. And the editor has their hand on that tool.
Mm. And Steven has also gone on after Romero's passing to work with a lot of directors internationally, including one of my favorite directors, An Hui, and a few other Hong Kong directors as well. So it's just so crazy that she's sort of like traversed multiple regions of hubs of filmmaking and prime directors there. And her career is it's still continuing. She's still filming and stuff. So very cool to get to chat to her. Definite bucket list ticked there with Mary Stephen.
She's a really interesting artist because I feel like when we had a virtual Q&A recently, when she had some films showing the AFA, the energy that she has is that she's just a person exploring through her art rather than, I guess, identifying herself necessarily as a filmmaker. Film is just, for some reason, the medium that she's working in. And of course, she's taken on many hats, like editing as well as being the director. And we definitely all got that vibe listening to that Q&A just to the screen, that she was just this open person, just doing stuff that was interesting to her. So that was really cool. So I'm sure that came across when you were talking to her. Yeah, which I'm really jealous about, but yeah.
100%. But don't be jealous, Ben, because the interview might not be the last time that you're going to hear Mary Stephen on the podcast because, yeah, we got her deets.
Ooh. Deep cut, a story of a podcast.
Yeah. I love
next
it.
Film.
I love it.
Who are these three fools and what are they doing? What's the twist? The twist is Eli hasn't been real this whole time.
What?
I'm just a figment of your imagination.
Eli has been AI this whole time.
Yeah, no one has seen a video of him. You've only seen videos of me and Ben.
Deep Eli.
Deep Eli.
Deep cut, deep seek.
Oh,
AI Eli. Come on. It's almost so obvious. You don't even know.
Oh
Wow.
my God.
He was there the whole time.
Okay, moving on to a film that Eli actually saw. This is Ben Rivers' Mare's Nest. You can hear Eli talking about it on the New York Film Festival episode. Well, this is an example of a film that I didn't connect with so much, but I think the interview really helped with my understanding and my connection with the film itself. Mare's Nest is set in a post-apocalyptic world where there are no adults, and it is about this girl called Moon, who we see through different episodes in this movie, traversing through this barren land, coming into contact with other kids. Some of these kids and her are somehow reciting a one-act Don DeLillo play in the middle of the film. There is a short film that the kids make that's baked into the world of this film about a Minotaur growing up.
Oh, I forgot that aspect.
Yeah, she travels into the underworld. There's a lot more to it than just the Don DeLillo play, but I feel like it's still hard for me to put my mind around this film and sort of come up with something concrete about it. But I think River's intention of making a film where kids don't have to, are not subsidiaries to adults or having to sort of interact with adults and just interacting with themselves. And he was what if the world was just kids and they're having to fend for themselves? Doing it in this way with these actors was quite fascinating. And I was talking to him about directing acting for the kids as well, and similar to Geck about sort of letting those performances breathe and maybe not giving them so much direction when he's directing them. And he says some scenes I would just give Moon an in point to the room and an out point to the room, and whatever she does in the middle, that was just sort of up to her in the moment. These are the scenes where she doesn't have to say a lot of dialogue. And honestly, I feel like those scenes are the highlight of the film. I think the DeLillo play sort of went over my head a lot, but I think he really likes the play and I think is friendly with Don DeLillo. So
no way.
He said that before, so sort of considering to use the word for snow in the play, he had already received a letter from Don DeLillo saying that he really liked his work.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yes, yes, it is very cool. It is very cool. But yeah, I mean, as someone that is a Don DeLillo fan, it was not that cool for me, but like it is objectively cool. Yeah, I liked it. I'm so bummed I had to watch it in a screener and I couldn't watch it on the big screen because it looks great, actually. I liked the textures of the film. It was shot on 16.
Great cinematography.
Yeah. Ben Rivers, look out for that interview. Okay, The Big Daddy, the final interview. I haven't seen this film yet. I'm actually rewatching it tomorrow on the big screen. But
so you haven't seen it, but you're rewatching it? Interesting.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I haven't
doesn't
seen
add
it.
up there. Something doesn't add up.
I haven't
caught
seen
him,
it,
folks.
I haven't seen it in this festival, but I've seen it a few years prior. And that is Vive l'Amour, directed by the one and only Tsai Liang. Oh my God. When this interview got somewhat confirmed, I freaked I freaked out so much and made such a fuss about it on the Discord that we had to make like a sub like category of one of the chats for everyone to guess which director I was interviewing. I mean, this guy I've been following for over 10 years and I think he's just one of my white whales, man. Like I love Tsai's films so much. I love how slow they are. I love how sensual they are. It's so hard to like sort of read off of the film like what exactly he's saying, but I think that's sort of the power of a Tsai film, that it's not, he doesn't make it easy for you. And obviously his collaborations with Li Kangsheng, there's just so much there. And I am so lucky that I got 30 minutes with him. And he was so generous with his answers and also a very nice guy. I think, yeah, we're far enough in the episode that I can say that I talked to the publicist yesterday and she was like, oh, you know, the reporter after you was horrible and was asking him really bad questions. Like borderline, like rude, like not taking, like he said no a few times and she kept on asking the same questions again. And he kept on saying no. And he was just quite unsatisfied with that interview. So then she apologized to him after that interview and he was like, oh, it's okay. The first one was really good. And I was the first one.
Yeah.
So take that, whatever journalist.
Get fired.
No. They're actually a working journalist. I don't want to get them fired.
And you got Tsai saying an introduction to the podcast, right?
So you're going to hear that in the interview. And I guess if we ever decide to do a Tsai series in the future, we will hear his voice at the start of every episode.
Which we should.
I feel like maybe even more so than the Yang films, there's a lot more to like unpack there because
they're cryptic.
They are cryptic.
I mean, people know Tsai, but they're still slept on because they're not as accessible as a Yang film.
No, they're not.
No.
Some of them are, I feel, accessible, but then there are ducks, like really odd ducks. And that's also why they're interesting.
Quack, quack.
Yeah. And shout out to my friend Mona who helped me translate in the moment and was also translating after the fact.
Nice.
So you're hearing her voice speaking for him in English. Those are my 7 interviews. So we're still going to chat about rollout for these interviews, but I'm trying to get them out as soon as possible because I think HKIFF team and the filmmakers themselves are curious about their release. And yeah, please go watch their movies if you have access to them. Memory is playing at Near Directors New Films in New York. And yeah, I think other films will find their way to America where most of you are listening. Most of these films will also come out in Hong Kong in the next few months. Okay. First section done.
We got 2 more. How long is this going to take?
Oh my God. Okay, it's not been that long actually. Okay. It's okay.
We got to push.
Moving on to a section that is all classics that have been restored or were being projected on 35. I saw one 35 millimeter projection beautiful. First one, Věra Chytilova's Panelstory or Birth of a Community. I think, Eli, you would enjoy this one, actually. It's made in, I think, the late 1970s. It was only allowed to be released a few years after it was finished because Chytilova was finishing off a ban from filmmaking, and they thought that this movie was too critical of housing developments at the time in the Czech Republic. But Chytilova is most known for Daisies, and she's one of the pioneers of the Czech New Wave. I think this is less experimental than those films, but this is a web of life comedy of errors or just like cringe comedy about people living in a housing development that's still going on. And I think there's a lot of things going on in this movie, but I think one of the most, I guess, telling images of this movie is mothers pushing their prams through just mud because the areas around the nice houses have not been built yet. So they're just like pushing them through mud. And I think it is really funny, but also really weird. And I caught this last night and I was so tired. So I feel like I didn't connect with it on a same level, but I think people will like this. Yeah, I think you, especially Eli, you will like this.
Do you know how I know I would like it?
Why?
I'm going to read you Claire Schaefer's review of this movie, our friend from undergrad studies and now Criterion employee Claire Schaefer. She wrote, kind of like if you combined Peter Hujar's Day and The Tin Drum into one movie. And if that means anything to you, then you're the target demographic. And I was like, yep.
Yep.
That's me.
That is you. I don't get the Peter Hujar's.
I do
I
not.
don't know.
I didn't get either of that. So like, okay, it's not for me. This is not my community.
Movie as archive.
Moving on to the film called Ying by director Alan Fong. And this is a restoration of his 1983 film. And Alan Fong, unknown to me before this screening, but I watched this with Ariel, who was on a recent episode, part of Connie Releasing. And Connie Releasing actually secured North American rights for a few of the other Alan Fong films, not including this one. I think they're still deliberating on this one because he hadn't seen it yet. But Alan Fong is one of the unsung heroes of Hong Kong cinema, and Ying is a realist look at the life of a young girl called Ying, who is part of a big family. She has a lot of siblings, and she is the only child that is helping with her parents' wet market fish stall. And she does that during the day, and she's a good daughter, but she wants to do something more. She likes the arts, she likes film, she likes music. So she signs up for a class at like a film workshop area. And she befriends the director that is teaching that class, who's a Taiwanese guy. And they strike up this friendship as they're working on this acting class together. And it is a real slice of life drama about her and about her life. And I think it was so wonderfully done. I think she's fantastic, the girl that plays Ying. And I think the directing is very warm. The filmmaking is very warm. And I just don't really see that in Hong Kong cinema in that era. It's very special. And I really loved it. I saw it with like a nearly sold out crowd in Hong Kong. And it was playing in one of the new venues this year, the East Kowloon Cultural Center, which is located in Kowloon Bay, which a lot of more local communities are staying. And they were playing a lot of the Chinese classics there. And it was a really magical experience. I'm not going to forget it. And it is, in my video review, I'm like, oh, this is like the meaning of deep cut, like finding movies like these that are gems that have been forgotten about. But because Ying was actually celebrated a lot in its time, it won Best Film at the Hong Kong Film Awards that year. It even went to New Directors, New Films in 1983. So it's a great movie. I hope it finds its way to the US. I'm hoping Ariel and Pearl buy it. Poor Connie. So you guys can see it in the West. Yeah.
I'm looking at the credit, like the letterbox page, and like apparently the story is based on the lead's real life.
Wow.
And I'm looking at the cast list, and they all have the same last name. So I'm betting that a lot of them are her real family.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me. I think there's a real accuracy to the life that they lead, especially people that live in public housing in Hong Kong. I think there's a very specific look to the houses there.
Oh, wow. The lead was in All Shall Be Well.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until afterwards. She does look familiar now, but she was so young in Yang. So nice. Okay, next film, Tian Zhuangzhuang's The Horse Thief. I think this is a big film for Spielberg and Scorsese. I think Ariel was saying that Scorsese, you could see the blueprint of Kundun all over The Horse Thief. And this film is set in Tibet, and it's just a slice of life about this guy who is a horse thief, and his life just starts falling apart because of his thievery. It reminded me, in that way, a lot of, oh my God, what are their names? Marty Supreme Brothers.
Safdies.
The Safdie brothers, like films by the Safdie brothers, where you have a protagonist that his life is just going to shit and has an unwavering belief in himself that everything will go okay. Tian Zhuangzhuang was actually there. He gave a talk back after the film, and he talked about how he was a city boy and was looking for some meaning with life and death, and went to Tibet to make this film with Tibetans. It looks good. Movie looks good.
How do you feel about the
Tibet of it all?
Yeah, or like the way you just said he was a city boy and then he went to Tibet to make this film there. I sense some feelings about that.
Not big feelings. I think he was young. He was doing a lot of soul searching. That's how he was reflecting on that. And I think it is still very accurate, like in the way that he was able to immerse in the world there. And I think it was also less of like heavily directed and more sort of like viewing his life through the film. Like, I think there's not a lot of dialogue heavy scenes. There's a lot of just like imagery, a lot of cross dissolves. It's quite heady.
Cerebral.
Yes, cerebral. Yes. Okay, from one Mandarin speaking director to another, this is Unknown Pleasures by Zhangke. I wanted to watch this because I really loved Caught by the Tides last year, and this was one of the films that uses some of the footage from this film. I think it's the first era of Zhao Tao and the other guy. I really like this. I think there are some of the Zhangke films of this era that I don't like Pickpocket, or don't like that much, but I think this time it really worked. Maybe it's because of Zhao Tao's presence in them. It finally was like clicking for me, but I could relate to the characters. I like understand why they were doing what they were doing, and I found it to be quite funny and reflective of the time. And I also don't think that the Jia today could have made this film. Like, I think he's becoming more and more like politically in line, which is fine. He needs to make a living. He needs to be able to make his movies, but yeah, I don't think he can do this that much anymore.
What's this movie about?
It's just about these two guys, these two bums, basically, who are living in this town, and they're trying to sort of like get by, and the different experiences they go through over a few weeks, which includes, trying to get the attention of Zhao Tao, who's a dancer, singer, who is working in the town selling alcohol for her boss boyfriend. So the boss boyfriend is the guy that appears in the Caught by the Tides further on and on.
That was a DreamWorks movie, right?
The boss was the boy's boyfriend, yes.
Boss Boyfriend, right?
The sequel to The Boss Baby, yes.
Yeah, Alec Baldwin. I don't know.
Yeah.
No comment.
Look, they're not all going to be winners.
No, not all.
That bit has come up many a time on this podcast.
Referencing Boss Baby?
Yes,
Not the
from
first
you.
time.
Oh. This is the first time I remember doing it, so clearly I'm just on autopilot whenever I'm referencing Boss Baby.
So funny.
A movie I've not seen, by the way.
No, I feel like you actually have to watch it. Put your money where your mouth is.
No thanks.
We're gonna do an episode
No.
on Boss Baby.
Popular pick, Boss Baby. Deep cut pick, Boss Baby 2.
Okay, two more old films. I caught these both today. The Satyajit Ray's Days and Nights in the Forest. This is the one that Wes Anderson helped restore.
Oh.
I think it's quite obvious why he restored it. It's very Wes Anderson-y. It's about these 4 rich guys who travel to a poor town and they mess around for a few days. They meet up with some ladies that are rich as well. So they find the other rich people living in the area and they like hang out and they like treat their servants horribly. And they vibe. They get drunk. It's very much like, rich people vibing in a place. There's light critique of them. There's definitely critique of them. It's not like he doesn't know what he's doing, but I just was wanting a little more bite. But I know that it's not what Ray wanted to do. I think Ray wanted to make like a little bit of a lovely film with a little bit of class commentary in it and just call it a day and just exist on vibes. I much prefer Apu Trilogy, like more serious kind of filmmaking. Even The Big City, more serious filmmaking there, but gorgeous looking. There's so many film making ideas that are placed into so many scenes in this. So it makes a very like simple setting and a simple story into something grander on the screen. So yeah, really like this one, Days and Nights in the Forest. Last one of the restored films is Final Victory, directed by Patrick Tam in 1987. Wong Kar-wai wrote the screenplay for this movie. Stars Eric Tsang as a gang member whose big boss or big buddy is played by Choi Hark, who gets jailed. And Choi Hark's basically like to Eric Tsang, you got to take care of my two girlfriends. You need to take care of both of them, and both of them can't find out that each other are my girlfriend. And you just pay them and you do things. And chaos ensues. They jump to Japan for a little bit. There a lot of things happen with him and the 2 ladies. I thought it was a lot more funny for Wong Kar-wai's script than I expected. Maybe that's also the presence of Eric Tsang in it, who is known for his comedic roles. He's a little bit of a chubbier guy, but I think it's really cool to see him being a leading man in one of these movies. It is also, I think, stylized, not so heavily, but like well enough or interestingly enough to take note of. And watching Choi Hark act is pretty cool. I think he has a very distinct face and it comes across really well. And the audience I saw this with just now was laughing so much. They're really into this movie. The copies online of this are all so shit. So I'm glad I was able to see a good quality version of this movie.
Was it not restored, or it was just...
I watched the restoration.
Okay.
Or I don't know what it was, but it looked very good. But online, it does not look good.
Yeah, I want to see more Patrick Tam films. He's got an interesting career.
He's a weird man.
There's a big spot there. He's doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he in the 80s, he made quite a few movies, and they're all really strange.
Yeah.
Nomad, weird. Love Massacre, crazy, but also weird. Those are only 2 I've seen.
They're not normal. And even this, I think, is the most abides by genre, but at the same time, it's still not normal. It's not a normal movie. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. It's always nice to be in the 80s, Hong Kong was making a lot of weird stuff. 80s, 90s, a lot of weird stuff. Yeah. I just watched Throwdown last night. I was like, bro, what?
Oh, good shit. We got to go back to Johnny Toe as well. My God.
We really should. Got to do Exiled or something. Exiled.
Rules. See, everyone has toes that they like. I have toes I like. You guys have toes you like.
What do you
Wilson
say?
Confirmed foot guy.
Sorry, I'm so
we've all got
tired.
Toes we like.
It took me so long.
Wait, I have to show you the socks that I'm wearing right now.
Oh yes, you need to see it. Oh my God.
Okay.
That's not the design, right? It just tore.
Yeah, it just tore.
Oh my, why are you still having these socks? Throw them away. They're not covering your feet anymore.
They're just my indoor socks. The socks I wear at home.
Oh my God.
Okay, but they're not doing the whole job.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing the whole job. Partial non sequitur, but while we're on Choi Hark, Tony Zhou and Taylor Ramos's new video on the blade is amazing. Like just like a classic every fan painting video essay.
Really good.
And it kind of got me thinking that we should try to have them on.
Oh.
Oh, I thought you meant Choi Hark, but we should definitely have...
Choi Hark too.
I thought he was going to say we should cover Choi Hark. We all had different ideas.
Yeah, I'd be down.
I've heard The Blade is incredible.
Based on that essay, I think
great.
sounds incredible. Like as a treatise on wuxia and all that. Like I'm like, damn. It's a classic every frame in the sense of like it talks about one movie, but actually talks about all the movies. Yeah.
Love it.
Amazing. Yeah.
It's on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I linked it in the Discord. So if you're listening, you want some good links from us, get on the Discord. Next section.
Okay, final section. New releases, global. I think this is why, if you're tuning into this episode, this is probably what you've been waiting for. So you probably can skip to this.
Really? I feel like if I was listening to this podcast, not biased or anything, but like I like the old stuff, you know? Like I like the news, like the interesting stuff, like the interviews and stuff.
I mean, I was very picky about the movies that I watched this time. And I think that's also what also helped me have a great festival experience.
This is a good run of movies. Like
Yeah,
this list I'm
great.
looking at is crazy.
I didn't give any movie anything lower than a 2.5, and the 2.5 star I'm going to be talking about right now. And
Ben's thrilled. Ben is winning.
the number of 5 stars and 4.5 stars I gave was quite high. And I don't know, maybe it was just like in the moment, maybe I was just riding off of the high, meeting like a cinema legend or multiple cinema legends over the course of the week. But I was feeling these movies. They were good movies.
Great.
And now to something less good. This was the first film that I watched for the festival. It was opening night. We Are All Strangers, directed by Anthony Chen, Singaporean film. It just premiered at Berlin a few months ago. I had heard from someone on the Discord that said that this was their favorite film of the Berlinale. I go in medium hopes. I watch a movie. I'm like, damn, that's kind of fucking long. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. You don't need 2 hours and 40 minutes to tell the story. It is about a guy who knocks up his girlfriend, young couple, and girlfriend's from a Christian family, and they decide to raise a kid. It is also about the guy's father and the woman he's trying to date, which is played by Yo Yan Yan, and they both work at a hawker market. Like, it is... I don't even know. Like I'm like, what am I watching? What is the point of this? Okay, it is a Asian melodrama in so many of like the classic ways. Like you have a poor family, you can't afford to like raise this child, someone's sick, someone's dying. Okay, what am I watching? Like, what am I here for? There's really... I feel like asking up to cut time would also still be generous, like too generous. Like I just don't feel like there's so much worth in the experience of watching this movie. Like every subsequent film I saw at the festival made this one look worse.
Oh no.
Well, what I'm hearing is that it brings in the sort of genre tropes without specifying it to the characters or deepening the characters with specificity.
Yeah. I just also, it was boring, and I don't want to be bored for 2 hours and 40 minutes.
What do you think of the people talking about EE in the same sentence as this movie?
Not great. I don't even think he's trying to go for EE though. Like I think the way that it looks is very different from EE. He has some like very questionable cinematography choices in this. I know they were like filming in probably the real housing places, like the public housing units in Singapore. But I think some of the situations just felt too out there or too unbelievable, or the way that it was tackled. And then there's a whole like story about them finding live streaming and like making money off of selling items on live streaming. And I didn't really care for that. And they just spent 30 minutes on that. And then one of the Web of Life characters just gets sidelined for no reason. Whereas with Yi, the mother leaves for like half the movie, but it's explained.
And it becomes part of the narrative and dramatic thrust.
Exactly. And that's what I was expecting when one of the character leaves, but then she just ends up coming back and has no resolution scene. And like the reason that she's gone for a big chunk of the film is that she's just like sleeping in the other room. So I don't know if it was a scheduling issue with the actress, but I don't know. I'm also like, oh, this is the film that Singapore is going to champion this year on a global scale. And when I watch something that was made for a smaller budget and by Geck, a girl, and she like put her blood, sweat, and tears into this really personal story about herself, and I found that to be a lot more moving and got to the point a lot quicker. This is like A Girl is 90 minutes versus this movie's 2 hours and 40 minutes runtime. It's just tough. And I don't think I'm the only person that has this feeling. I think a lot of the people that I watched it with did not like this and was regretting buying tickets for it. Because I didn't have to pay for the ticket. So I'm like, fine. But
Wow. I don't know if I'll ever watch this. Let's find out. I don't have time for bad movies, guys.
Same.
We'll find out. I've not liked Chen's previous, more recent films. I really like Iloilo when I watched it.
yeah, it's the kid that's in Ilo
Yeah,
Ilo.
yeah. And Iloilo is a much more personal story as well. And I think as he moved away from that, and I think tackling stories that are not his own, maybe it's why it's not landing anymore. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen this one, so I can't really comment.
Yeah. And we'll also have to say that the kid that was in Ilo Ilo that he made was also in Wet Season and is in this movie. He's sort of like the unifying force of these three movies.
And Yen Yen.
Oh, Yan Yan's also in all three films, but he is unfortunately not a good actor. I don't think he has the juice. And he has to do so much in this film, and I think that's an issue. Like, I feel like Yan Yan is able to really carry her scenes. Great for her. She's a great actress. But main character not being able to hold the weight of the movie, it's tough.
Maybe I should watch it for another great line read from him. Like, I don't like Wet Season, but this one line read he does that is like incredible.
Oh my God, I haven't seen it.
He just goes like, 你知道这是我第一次 break up 知道吗? Which is, this is my first breakup, but like in a mix of like English and Mandarin, which is just so funny to me. Like actually very authentic, but it's just so funny in a dramatic context. You're like, maybe he'll have one more of those. I'll think about it.
Maybe.
Nat was saying that the title is not good because it's just like no one can remember the title.
Yeah.
Because I keep thinking of that movie with
All of Us Strangers.
All of Us Strangers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dang.
Yeah. I just don't think it relates to the movie that strongly.
Right.
Ugh, we're all strangers.
Moving on. Let's not spend so much time on it.
Yeah. I don't know why I talked about this so long. Moving on to Herman Yao's, Hong Kong director Herman Yao's return to his like own filmmaking, one for him, with his film We Are Nothing at All. And this premiered on the second night of the film festival, and a lot of people were saying, why wasn't this movie the movie that was the opening night premiere? Is a Hong Kong film by a local auteur who's finally making his own film. So Herman Yao is most known for his film Ebola Syndrome, which I have not seen, but I think it is about, well, it's a Category 3 exploitation film. He makes crazy movies. Let's just say he makes crazy movies, but he's also been making a lot of like studio movies to save up money so then he could make a film like this year's We're Nothing at All. And We're Nothing at All stars two really big boy band pop stars in Hong Kong. And it starts in Valentine's Day. And a big double-decker bus, iconic to Hong Kong, blows up in the middle of Causeway Bay. They send in a forensic expert, and he starts doing his investigation. And as he starts doing his investigation, we start seeing flashbacks to this gay couple played by these two boy band stars, showing how their lives are horrible. They get treated horribly by the people around them, their families, usually mostly because of the homophobia, but also they're lower class. So they can't afford things. People owe them money and they're not paying them back. They can't find jobs. It's a tough life for these two guys. So what basically happens is they get so fed up with their life that they decide to do a suicide bombing on Valentine's Day with this bus. It is a really angry film. I'm not shocked that it's an angry film. I'm sort of shocked that this is an angry film that is communicating Herman Yao's feelings about living in Hong Kong. And he pairs it with like the biggest stars in Hong Kong right now. So having these two things together is mind-blowing to me. To have a really loud indictment of homophobia in Hong Kong, but also done in a way that's not so tactful that it sometimes comes across as homophobic itself. Like I don't think a lot of queer people were consulted with or were working on the team for this film, but at the same time, I really enjoyed it. Like I think it's just so fucking crazy. It's crazy enough that I'm like, honestly, like you just do you. I don't care. Like I'm not offended. Like honestly, it's fine. Like
Wilson's seal of approval. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to gay. Yeah, I think we should just let sicko mode directors make their sicko mode movies. And if they need the biggest stars in the country or in the city in order to get their money back for making their sicko movies, so be it. Yeah.
Well, it's the same as your review of Panelstory or Birth of a Community. You wrote, let crazy people make movies, parentheses, complimentary.
Yes. Thank you for referencing that. I think there's a lot of that at this year's festival. But just, yeah, shocking. Like, I think it is in a similar way. I'll talk about it later with the drama. Like, I think there's similar sort of Trojan horsing happening.
Trojan horsing.
Brutal.
Oh, my God. Okay. My Father's Shadow. This is on Mubi right now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it just came out a couple days ago. And this is a film directed by Akinola Davies Jr. And it's set during the 1993 Nigerian election where these two brothers go to visit their dad who's working in Lagos, and memories of them visiting their dad as sort of political chaos erupts. It is a really lovely day for these two boys and their dad, and they get to sort of talk to him about deeper things like, oh, why is he not living with them in the countryside with their mom, and what's going on with their family. And I think it was a really beautiful movie. It was done so well, and I thought the performances were so strong in this, especially when the two kids, they have to do a lot of emotional heavy lifting here, and I think they do a good job. I liked My Father's Shadow a lot. Moving on. New Hong Sang-soo movie, The Day She Returns.
The day we return to Hong Sang-soo.
Yeah,
Yep.
we have to return to this one. This is about an actress who gets interviewed by three different reporters. So the three interviews with the three reporters happen, each are probably 15 minutes long, and you get to see them in two shots. So each reporter gets two shots. So that's 6 shots. And then she leaves the interview place, probably another shot, 7 shots. And then she talks with her acting teacher, 8 shots. And then after talking with her acting teacher, she recreates a combination of the 3 interviews as an acting exercise with an acting partner, 9 shots. So I think there are 9 shots in this movie.
I gotta see that, man. That sounds so great.
It's Hong getting even more simple. I didn't realize he could do that. But so he doesn't really take away from the visual. Like, I think it's shot with a regular camcorder, or like a higher quality than In Water.
Oh,
and
wow.
maybe high quality than What Does That Nature Say to You? But
We got 720p now.
Don't go that far. 480.
The 6 shots that start this movie with the 3 interviews, they're basically all the same shot. And he's not really moving the camera that much. He's just placing them with the actress facing the camera and with our interviewers back facing the character. And she gets interviewed. She says similar things. Even the interviewers ask her similar things. So I think you really have to dig into the nuance of the dialogue itself to really get something out of it. And this is a movie for true Hong heads and nobody else. I just don't think that regular people will get all the juice from this movie. I think it will be tough. It's a tough ask, but I think it's a great movie.
I think we have to cover it.
We were kind of bound.
And I think you guys will like it. I think you're both at this point with Hong where you're like, okay, I'll open my mind up to a new Hong.
I will follow where he leads.
I'm always open, but I like the very structural stuff, and this sounds very structural.
It is very structural. He has the numbers on the screen. Like, he has the scene numbers. 1, 2, 3. Like, he doesn't even say part 1. He just says 1.
I really like that Raju Jude reel that I sent you guys. He talks about
it's so good.
He's like,
yes.
Sometimes I think he's an idiot, but he's also a genius. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah, an idiot and a genius at the same time.
Gets it.
Yeah, that's why crazy people gotta make movies. Because you don't know, are they a genius or an idiot?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, it's because you don't know. And that's why it has the potential to be good.
Mm-hmm. That's the lesson from this festival, honestly. I love crazy people making movies.
I was having a conversation with some new people I met, and I forgot how we got to this, but I randomly was like, a filmmaker is at their peak before their peak.
Well, that's the same idea that we talked about with Isabel Sandoval way long ago, that a director's first feature is often the most undistilled, unrefined, and direct version of what they want to say.
But what I'm trying to say is, it's when they are about to become the master filmmakers they will become. That's usually when they make their best work, when they're just about to. And then once they make that one, it's downhill from there.
Wow. But do you feel like that with Hong? Or do you think he's past it?
Hong's always reaching. That's why he's an insane person. Because you don't know what his peak will be. And I think like the filmmakers who, remain with like a sort of beginner's mind. And I think that's what he's doing with all of like the lo-fi and like the weird stuff he's doing. Like he's trying to keep it beginner's mind.
Okay, honestly, this is going to sound tangential, but I've been thinking about this in sort of like a life philosophy sense, or like a career sense, where I look at teachers who are closer to retirement, who continue to try to iterate and improve their pedagogy. I'm thinking in particular, I'll say directly, I've referenced her before on the podcast, but my close friend and listener, Kate, who continue to improve their craft and like adjust based on the present. That's how I want to be when I'm older too. And you're right. I think Hong does that as well.
I think what I'm trying to say is that not all filmmakers, but some filmmakers hit that point where they think they got it and they made it. And that's when they start sucking.
They're comfy.
When they think they have learned all the tools they need to learn and they just need to keep reusing those tools to make the films. Whereas the filmmakers that like keep challenging themselves or like refuse to believe they know what they're doing because they're crazy usually, make really interesting, not necessarily better movies, just more interesting movies,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the films that you're talking about, all the filmmakers that you've kind of talked to, either because they're still starting out or because even like the older filmmakers, like these are films of people who are like in their experimental phase, like even like a Patrick Tom, that's a crazy filmmaker, he's just messing around. I don't know what he's doing all the time. Yeah, but they're interesting.
And I think it's really props to the programming team for sort of picking out films that are crazier than normal, or like, a majority of the selection of films. I mean, I caught a fraction of the hundreds of films that were playing at HKIFF. So I chose my own adventure.
Large fraction. It's a big fraction.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, are there directors who straddle that line of like using some of the same tools, but still reaching in some way? Scorsese comes to mind.
I think of Scorsese as well. I think his interest in cinema in general and like his curiosity is still there, that he's still trying stuff. I think Killers is him reaching, maybe not successfully to everyone, but definitely him reaching, which I think shows growth
Silence
for a filmmaker.
too.
Yeah, like for a filmmaker at that level to still be reaching, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I agree. Curiosity. You're right.
Mm-hmm. So from one madman to another, I would say. Magellan, directed by Lav Diaz. I love Lav Diaz. I love Magellan.
Magellan? I don't even know her.
It's a masterpiece, man. It's a masterpiece. I fucking love this movie. I love how fast it moves. I think it's his fastest movie. The cut rate is so fast. I love the approach that Lav Diaz took with telling the story of Magellan and his conquest to the Philippines. I was not really sure of how things were going to be divided with timeline and who's being highlighted. I think we see Magellan for a good amount of the film to understand why he does what he does, and yet it still very much falls within the Diaz trope of portraying men who are really bad, who do things to like hurt other people. And this hurt that happens is sort of reflective of a collective Filipino hurt that is happening. And with Magellan, I would say Lav Diaz goes back to the core root of the pains of the Philippine people, which is this colonization that happens, the subjugation through many means that we see in this film, including that of like sort of religious indoctrination that is happening very clearly to us viewers in this film. I think it is done very tactfully as well. Like I think the way that Diaz approaches telling the story is quite remarkable. I'm very impressed by the storytelling chops here. And not even get me started on how this film looks. For a film that was shot on a GH5, it is incredible to look.
GH5?
It looks great.
Yes.
Like that the boat stuff, like damn, like
Yeah.
damn.
I mean, those Panasonics do really well in natural light. Is this movie almost entirely natural light?
Yeah, I would say so. Or firelight.
How do you think they shot the boat stuff?
A lot of the boat stuff was shot during the daytime, so I think they just use natural light.
Practically on a real boat?
Yeah, it's
Damn.
it's an antique boat. I don't think they could have like
Really? I feel like they shot in a tank, which I don't know why I think that,
really.
but I don't know. Fact check us. I don't know who's right. I don't know why I think that, but yeah.
Love this because it also was accessible to regular folks. Like I think a regular Lav Diaz, like a classic Lav Diaz film is not easily accessible. But this was definitely he knows he's making a popular film for his standards. And he is able to meet the audience where he wants them to be. So I think whenever we do our Lav Diaz series, this is an obvious popular pick because it is him at this point where he's ready to meet the audience like this. And I think it's really fantastic because it still works in a classic Lav Diaz fashion, but it's also quite accessible.
Yeah, especially to deep cut pick supporter
Leah Lai.
Yeah.
I watched this with my mom. She really liked this. She was like, yeah, thinking about the accuracy of the time period and was able to follow the story, did not fall asleep. Like, good stuff. That's a 2-hour, 40-minute film I would watch again. Obviously, 100%. And arguably more boring than the Anthony Chen, but actually not as boring. Sorry.
It's about depth.
I guess, okay, Magellan was set, a lot of Magellan is set in seaside towns. That's my connection to the next film, which is Romeria, directed by Carla Simon. Does I say right?
Oh, yeah.
Carla Simon is a Spanish filmmaker who is most known for her feature film Summer 1993, which is gas. It's gas. That film is gas. It's incredible. It's fantastic. I don't think I'll ever forget that movie.
Yeah.
This movie, I could forget it, but it's still, it's decent. It's decent. It's about this, I think, freshly 18-year-old girl who's an orphan who travels to meet her father's extended family or father's family for the first time. So it is about her sort of unpacking her parents' life, her parents who she never really knew, and the history there. It is set in the, I think, early 2000s. So the parents were alive in the 80s and 90s. It talks a lot about their drug addiction, and he succumbed to AIDS in the film. So it's also about that. Heavy stuff, but in a very beautiful location setting of this seaside town where they're on boats a lot. It is an interesting film. I won't write it off. I think the performances are great and the cinematography is really good. And I think Simone, even though this is a very like by the books kind of story, I think it might be inspired by her life. So I shouldn't really say that it's by the books, but I think it is quite a simple story of discovering your roots and maybe facing opposition from your father's family when they didn't really like acknowledge you before this. But Simone is a master at setting the stage tonally, like stylistically. I think that's one of the things that makes Summer 1993 so powerful, is that you get a real sense of place and time there. And similarly in this film, she's able to place you there. And I like this just not as much as Summer 1993. And if you are to start on a Carla Simon movie, you should start with Summer 1993 and then see if you like that. Okay. Tough one. I finally watched The Voice of Hind Rajab, directed by Kauthar Ben-Hania. This is a reenactment of the call center helpers that were trying to help Hind Rajab, who's this 6-year-old girl who was trapped in a car with her family members who all were shot by the IDF. They were trying to get an ambulance basically to her to help her and get her out of this situation. And unfortunately, we're not able to before the IDF killed her in the vehicle. It is not an easy watch. I cried through most of this. I was talking to my friends after it and was talking about what is the benefit of me who's, I guess, understanding of the Palestinian cause and understanding of what's going on there. Like, what is the benefit of me watching and experiencing this film? It really put me in a funk, like, for a long time. And I guess it's important because it can make this issue front of mind for the viewers. Like, this is still going on in different places in the world. Like, most notably, it's happening in Lebanon right now. Like, there's, a lot of atrocities that are happening. There's genocide that's happening. But I don't know how to feel about this. I didn't even give it a star rating. I just feel like I cannot sort of like treat it as a film, even though it is a film. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, why don't they make it a documentary? But I also feel like if it wasn't a fiction feature, like, it wouldn't have gotten the recognition that it has. You know what you're getting when you go in, but it was just not easy. It was not easy to watch. Yeah.
Do you recommend it to people?
Yeah, I would.
Or rather, who do you recommend it to? Because you're questioning what's the value of you watching it. Like, where would it have the most value to be watched?
I think it's for folks that have not read up on what's happening in Palestine. I think it would be helpful. It's a very like firsthand account of something that happened there. And the way that it uses the real life audio clips and some phone footage, it is very powerful. And I think it can be like a call to action for some other people as well. I think it is an important watch. I think I would suggest people to still watch it. Yeah. It's just tough stuff.
Yeah.
Was it tough because of the material mainly? Like, that's the thing that you're kind of brushing up against?
Yeah. And I think people have sort of had issue with the approach. I don't think I have that big of an issue with the approach because it shows a perspective and sort of the helplessness that these call center helpers are feeling when they're going through it. But I think maybe centering the story on them, I don't know. There's just some questions that I have on the framing of the film.
Right.
Okay, let's move on. Yeah, we had a Carla Simon earlier, and now we have a Claire Simon.
Connection.
Great segue.
Their names are so similar.
They are really similar.
Yeah.
They're basically the same.
But Claire Simon is a documentary filmmaker. She made a film about La Famille, the French film school, and the entry process there. She also made a film called Our Bodies about women's bodies at a hospital. It's taking place in a hospital. She makes these observational documentaries, very much in the vein of Fred Wiseman. But I think what I like to say that she likes to do is Simone likes to focus on a topic or a subject rather than a location. And in this film, she is covering French-speaking high schools that are studying the works of author Annie Ernaux in their classrooms. So we are basically only seeing kids in English classrooms speaking about Annie Ernaux. And if you're into English classes, this is a movie for you. So this is a movie for you, Eli.
Yeah.
I think it was so cool to see kids really genuinely connect with a piece of text that they have been assigned for class. The way that they talk about her writing, how present she is with her writing, her style of writing, the topics that she decides to talk about in her books, the sort of like autobiography-ness of it makes me want to get into Annie Ernaux's writing. But also I want to commend all these children who seem so well-read and seem like they're like actually participating actively in these discussions, maybe just for camera's sake, but
the camera's on you, you get smarter.
So what you're saying, we should just have cameras rolling on us constantly.
You're saying mass surveillance is good.
It's actually good. It's good. It's good. Let's send Frederick Wisemans all over the world. Different industries, different institutions. Let's go.
No, but I mean, this is why when people say, oh, Gen Z and Gen Alpha are totally brain rotted, I disagree.
Mm-hmm.
You know, getting to see them do intellectual work in classrooms is incredibly hope-giving, and it makes me optimistic.
Yeah. And also cool to see a lot of students from varying backgrounds, socioeconomically and also racially, that the like French-speaking community, also diverse, but also all able to connect with Annie Ernaux's writing from their own life. Very cool. I don't know. Have you read any Annie Ernaux, Eli or Ben?
I've not.
Who was Annie Ernaux? Sorry, I don't know.
I still don't know.
I assume they're a French writer.
Yeah, one of the books she wrote is about her abortion, and it's quite graphic. They're talking about it, and they talk about it for 5 minutes in the movie. Yeah, crazy. Okay, two more, last two films, and I guess hot films to end the episode on. First one, Ben has seen this. This is Blue Heron, directed by Sophie Ramvari. I absolutely loved.
You said you gave this 5 stars?
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
shit, dude.
Oh my God.
It's really good. I mean, I'm with you. It's really good.
It starts off as a slice of life about this young girl and her family. They move to a new house. We sort of start to see that the parents are having trouble with her older half-brother, Jeremy. And I don't want to spoil it. A lot of the magic of the movie happens in the second and third act, but would say something similar to, I think, Ben, you wrote about After Sun in your Letterboxd review. I agree with that comparison. I think it takes the part about like current adult version of the kid character, the way that it takes that aspect of it is so incredible. I loved it. I loved where the film ended. I love the performances. I love how quiet and unassuming it starts out. It's actually so good. Everyone should just go watch it. It's fantastic.
Man.
It's interesting because I think if you think about like what people do with film, I think it's one of those films that's like, what can you do with film?
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily in a very flashy way. I think there are some moments that
No.
are large, but I think she has a very strong handle of the material, which is her own biography and her own life, like because it draws from her own memories. And like you don't know what this movie is really about until it tells you later. I had no idea what it was about when I went in. I didn't read a synopsis. I didn't watch a trailer. I just went in and I was like,
me too.
people have been talking about this. I'm going to watch it. I think partially maybe the reason I don't feel maybe as hot on it as you are, Wilson, is because I had no idea what to expect. So that first act, I was like, what is this movie? It feels a little shaggy because you're like not sure what to cling on to. But then when you see the full picture, you understand what the picture really is trying to do. I like it more than After Sun, like by a significant amount, because I have struggles with After Sun for its lack of clarity of what it's trying to achieve, which is not really a bad or good thing. It's more of a taste thing. But I think Blue Heron's interesting because it's slippery, but the clarity and intention is very clear. And I honestly can't really explain it. It's why it's like those good movies that like are not really about explaining it. Like, what is it about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's more like a feeling, but then also like, it's also very smart. Like, it's a lot going on here.
Yeah, there's a scene. Oh, I can't even spoil it. But
yeah, you can't say it. Yeah.
it's on a couch.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, God damn it. God damn it. I can't believe you're doing this.
I was watching like a series of movies that all like kind of spoke to each other. This speaks to Secret Agent.
Oh.
And there was another one. Shoot, let me try to remember it. Because I watched them all in the same week.
And I think I want to go back to what Ben was saying. It's not flashy. It's very simple. It's something, I feel like it's something like a Hong Sang-soo, like sort of very simple filmmaking language, but using it to help tell your story effectively and bring your story to unexpected locations. It's so good.
It's a small movie with really big ideas, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds phenomenal.
Powerful.
I don't want to hype it up too much, but like, yeah. Like, it's a pretty strong feature debut as well.
Yeah. And I know Ramvari has been circling film Twitter, letterbox circles for a long time. So
really?
I think this has been a long time coming. And I think she's getting championed a lot by an online community that I guess she was also once part of and is probably still a part of. So very happy for her.
I should watch her short film that like kind of precedes this.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, because my friend Charlotte that watched this was telling me about that short. And I was like, holy moly. Like, the kind of biography she's drawing from is like really tragic. Because in Blue Heron, the story's about her, right? It's her and like her 4 brothers or something. Still processing is about the death of a few of them.
That feels like a spoiler.
No, it's not really. But
Okay.
it's still processing is about a few of them is really kind of rough to hear. And I think that maybe is something that permeates all of her work. A very strong sense of like loss and grief. But I think, I would say very sensitively done and not like exploitative, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is why I say it's not a spoiler.
Yeah. This is probably coming out in the US by the time this episode comes out. So
It's screening in some places now. I just looked it up, but it will be screening in more a little bit later in April.
check it out. Okay. Last film that we're talking about was probably the biggest title of this whole list.
Really?
Okay, maybe not. The Silent Friend, also a big title, but yeah, this is the drama, the new Zendaya and Robert Pattinson movie directed by Christopher Borgli. I'm a big Borgli fan. I've seen, I think, all of his feature films.
The Boss Borgli, right?
The Boss Borgli, yes, the Boss Borgli.
Ben looks so frustrated.
Disappointed.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I think I was quite worried going to this that Borgli would do something that is a little more normal for this, but I'm glad that it's by no means normal. Ben, you don't know what this movie is about, right?
I don't anything. Don't tell me. I'm gonna watch it like in a week.
Okay, great. I'm not telling you anything. But there's a thing that happens in the first 10 minutes that basically sets off the whole film. And I don't think an American would have the balls to do this, honestly. Like, I think tackling the issue quite head on, I applaud it. And I think it was done quite well as well because it's erratic in its editing and its cinematography. Like, there's just a lot going on, a lot of film ideas going on. But I think the treatment of the subject matter was done well. And the performances are great. I really like Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. And Alana Haim is fucking hilarious in this.
She's great.
I think I was laughing a lot more than other people in the theater. But I think whatever reaction you get, if you're disgusted, if you're angry, if you find it funny, I think any sort of reaction is a positive for this movie because it's getting you to think and to talk about things and to feel things about people people you not know. I don't know. Eli, you watched this.
I did, yeah. And I almost entirely co-sign what you're saying, Wilson. I think it's very successful. I think it does lose its balance towards the end with a choice that Borgli makes with the Pattinson character. It kind of nullifies some of the earlier potential for moral investigation of what a relationship is and could be in its most honest form. But I agree with you that it uses its not twist, but like inciting reveal interestingly and sensitively and provocatively, where I think in particular
You're talking about weapons. You're going to talk about weapons?
I could actually. I think that it is a more successful version of engaging with some of the, if not exact same subject matter, then like impacts of hot button issues that weapons seems like it is going to do and then backs away from. I think that similarly, the drama is not most interested in investigating those hot button issues. It sort of uses them for something else. But en route, it treats those hot button issues actually quite compassionately, with a couple of exceptions when it sort of tries to go for jokes that I didn't care for. But it actually treats the characters involved with depth and nuance and seriousness in a way that I think is essential. I could say more if I were to go into spoiler territory. I actually still have not logged this on Letterboxd because I do feel like I have some writing in me on this.
Yeah.
I'll get to that. And also maybe I'll talk about it more in depth on our new deep cut audio digests behind the subscriber wall on our Patreon, which you should check out.
Good shout.
Nice. So good. That was so
seamless.
Very, very seamless. Yeah, that was all the films I've seen for the festival. I'm done. My body is screaming at me. I think I like got mildly sick multiple times over the course of the last 10 days. I was getting like averaging at like 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep a night. Having to prep interview questions the night before interviews was stressful. Long story short, I put a lot of work for the festival, but very grateful for the experience. It has been so fulfilling. It has been the best week of this whole year for me. I fucking met Tony Leung. I fucking met Tsai Liang. Like, it's a cinema goer's, film bro's dream come true.
You said you got sick. I know what you got.
What?
You got smoker's lung. Leung.
Got a case of the lung. Lung.
Well done, Wilson. It seemed like a lot, honestly.
Thanks.
And really enjoyed hearing about your experience. Like, to not just go see that quantity of films, but engage with them so thoughtfully and emotionally. I legitimately enjoyed hearing about what you saw.
Yay. And if you're a new listener and you're here, welcome. We do these dispatches, but we also have a lot of regular content that is really good that you should check out. So
not biased, just really good.
I'm biased.
And check out our interviews. My interviews are coming out soon, so be on the lookout. Thank you for listening to Deep Cut. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts to help others discover the show. A great way to support us is to leave a review or comment on our episodes directly on Spotify. If you want to chat with us and other fans of Deep Cut, come join our Discord server where we talk about movies, TV, music, and share what we're up to. We also have a Patreon if you'd like to support us with a monthly subscription. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, and a very special thanks to our Patreon Deep Cut Pick supporter, Leah Lai. Thank you for accompanying me to 2 screenings this festival, Mom. You can keep up with Deep Cut on Instagram and Letterboxd at Deep Cut Pod. Click the link in our description or go to deepcutpod.com to find links to everything we've mentioned here. You can also shoot us an email at hello@deepcutpod.com. We will try to read your email. Deep Cut is hosted and produced by us, Wilson Lai, Benjamin Yap, and Eli Sands. Our cover art is designed by Justine Yam, and our theme song is composed by the one and only Eli Sands. I'm Wilson.
I'm Ben.
I'm Eli.
Take care, and we're looking forward to talking about more movies with you next time. Zoigin.